What's going on, everyone? So the real thing that we got to keep our eye on is what are the Spurs going to do with DeAaron Fox? Right? Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, and Victor Wembanyama are their core foundation for the future. I would even add in Carter Bryant, but there were several reports that like the Spurs look at those three guys as their building blocks, as the big three that can eventually overtake the league, right? Like those are their guys. So the problem is that Dylan Harper is probably going to be best as a point guard, in the Cade Cunningham type role, be that versatile guard. Yes, he can play either guard spot, but at some point he's going to need to make that transition to be the guy. Ball in his hands, making the plays and all that. The beauty of Stephon Castle is he's so good at the dirty work, right? I think he works with anybody because like I talk about him in the wake of like a Jimmy Butler. Right? Now, I'm not saying that he is Jimmy Butler or necessarily will ever be Jimmy Butler. Who knows? He might even end up being better one day. I don't know. Right? But in the sense of Jimmy Butler's one of those stars that he doesn't care about his stats. Right? You see it all the time. Right? Like sometimes you just look at the stats and you're just like, dude, like Jimmy didn't have a great game. But if you actually watch the game, dude, that guy was probably the best player on the basketball court. Right? Because he's impacting the game in so many ways. Right? That's where I see Stephon Castle, where, hey, you need me to get you 20? I got you. No problem. I'll go get you 20. Hey, you need me to get you 10, 8, and 8? No problem. I got you. Hey, need me to defend the best player on the other team and just do all the dirty work and get us second chance opportunities and dive for loose balls and all that stuff? No problem, right? So I really do think Stephon Castle is that kind of chameleon-esque type player that can blend in and mesh in wherever you need him to be, right? But you look at DeAaron Fox, and I understand people's arguments is like, well, the NBA is positionless. It is, but it's also not. Right? It's positionless really 2 through 4, but you also want size, right? The size is the positionless element of it, right? And the reason I say it's kind of and only 2 through 4 is because teams still need a center, right? Like teams have tried to not do the center route and it doesn't work. Like you look at a team like the Lakers, Rudy Gobert looked like prime Shaquille O'Neal against the Lakers because they didn't have a center. You still need a center. That's why every team in the league, no matter how positionless and small ball they go, they have a center. That's why teams like the Warriors now, who essentially built the standard of positionless basketball, have needed a center and have had centers over the years. I mean, you got to remember, they had like Andrew Bogut and stuff like that, right? So again, teams still need a center, and you still need a point guard. You still need a playmaker that can put it all together. If you didn't, then Phoenix Suns would probably have been the best team in all of basketball, right? But you need the defense, you need that point of attack guard, but you also need somebody that can put it all together and make sure everybody eats. You need somebody, and we are in the wake of that, versatile guard, right? The days of the Chris Paul are likely over, right? These players are more kind of those combo guards, can make plays, right? Not all of them are great playmakers, right? Like there's a difference between a guy that can make plays and a true playmaker. Like Chris Paul is a true playmaker. A lot of guys can make plays. A lot of guys go get 5 assists. It's not the hard part. It's just, actually being able to control and dictate a game from a playmaking perspective. That's very different, right? But the other problem is like you'd be tiny. Right, compared to a lot of these teams. You're talking about, if you're going to make it work with those three, De'Aaron Fox is your point guard. He's also not a 2 guard. So he has to be the point guard and a guy that has the ball in his hands. It doesn't work. That's why he has to be the point guard. Right? So you talk about him having to have the ball in his hands and be the point guard, which means Dylan Harper has to be the 2, which could work. Have him be your kind of scoring guard, be aggressive offensively, and then he can kind of get his assists through like what the defense takes you, right? Okay, fine. But now what is Dylan Harper? Is he the 3rd option? Right, so your franchise guy that you believe could end up being, a top 5 player in the league is going to be your 3rd option for the next 5 years. Because you got to remember, DeAaron Fox is about to get a new contract. The San Antonio Spurs are going to have to pay him, right? And they're going to be paying him pretty hefty because his contract right now is like almost just under $38 million. So you're going to end up paying him, heavily into the 40s, 50s, right? And so, is that really what you want to do? And then now have Dylan Harper be your 2nd or your 3rd option because he's not going to be an option over Wemby. He's not going to be an option over De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has the ball in his hands all game. So now Stephon Castle is your 4th option, which I think is fine. But yes, he's 6'6", and on some nights, sure, he could probably slot in at the 3 spot. But again, you're small. I mean, you're talking about De'Aaron Fox as your point guard, which. No, he's not like tiny, but he's 6'3", right? So you're talking about 6'3" point guard, a 6'5", 2 guard, and then a 6'6", 3 guard. And then you're going to go up against teams like, like Denver, that is just massive, like Aaron Gordon and now Cameron Johnson and Nikola Jokic. And then they have Jamal Murray. And, it's just Christian Brown and all these guys, right? Like you start going up against these teams that just have size, right? Speaking of a team like the Lakers, like, Lakers have a bunch of 6'8" wings and stuff, right? So now you got to defend those guys and match up against those guys and stuff like that. Like there's just a lot of teams in the league that just have the size, right? Again, Oklahoma City, yes, they have a roster full of 6'3" to 6'6" guards, but they're all role guys outside of SGA, right? Like Jalen Williams is 6'7", right? You have, SGA and then Chet Holmgren, he's 7 feet or whatever, right? So again, all the guards are the role guys. Dylan Harper, DeAaron Fox, and Stephon Castle are not going to be your role guys. You're not looking for them to be role players. You're looking for them to be your stars, be the guys that can carry the charge. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the Spurs have to trade DeAaron Fox right now. It doesn't mean that they have to necessarily, they could sign him a new contract to trade him later on down the road, but it is something that I think is probably going to happen sooner or later. Right? And I mean, there's countless reports even about it. Hey, the Spurs are going to have to make the decision. I mean, there was a report recently that was they look at, again, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, and Victor Wembanyama as their 3 main guys. They weren't talking about DeAaron Fox in that conversation. And look, things change. Right? The plan was, man, we just got DeAaron Fox. You bring in DeAaron Fox, and now you have him and Victor Wembanyama and start putting the pieces around them. And then the lottery balls fell in your lap, and you ended up with the number 2 pick and Dylan Harper. Right? If they would have ended up with even the number 3 pick, DeAaron Fox would have been fine. Because even if you kept the pick, right? Talking VJ Edgecombe, right? He easily could have slotted into your 3 spot. So it wouldn't have changed anything. Right? And then, you just kind of again, circumstances, things happen. And that's what you talk to DeAaron Fox about. Hey, man, look, we traded for you because we thought you were going to be the guy. And we wanted you to be the guy. But, you're going to be 28, 2 months into the season. And all of our guys are 20, right? We don't want does it really make sense for us to trade all these guys for a shot when we could just trade you to a team that is already set up and where do you want to go? And it's not like the Spurs gave up a huge haul in order to get DeAaron Fox. They traded nothing. You could probably get scraps. It would probably be more than what you gave up for DeAaron Fox, right? So again, if you can turn him in a place, I would look to turn DeAaron Fox into other positions of need, right? So you look at it. Right? You got Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, right? Carter Bryant, and then Victor Wembanyama. That's your 4. Could you get a Trey Murphy, that could slot in and be your 4? Right? He's a guy that's shown the ability to be a 20-plus point a game scorer. Also, he's a guy that, is young, 24 years old, so he kind of fits the timeline of this team, right? Can you go get somebody that can slot? Can you solve that other forward spot? Or even if it's another 3 and maybe you're moving Carter Bryant into the 4. Because, again, in that area, right, you can be a Swiss Army. Now, you might be thinking, well, then, why can't Carter Bryant just play the 4? Because, again, Carter Bryant's 6'8". Right? There's a difference. Carter Bryant's 6'8". If he was 6'6", then again, you wouldn't have that versatility, but he's 6'8". Right? That's the difference. So if you can have a Carter Bryant and then go solve another need, get another wing, get another 6'8" to 6'10" guy, that'd be great. Now you start having that foundation. Now you start having that core, start rounding out your bench depth, start putting the things in a direction of where you can start in 3 years, you're the best team in all of basketball. Right? Because again, the other option is you go all in. That's the other option. The other option, because it doesn't make sense to keep DeAaron Fox, and eventually DeAaron Fox is going to get tired of being on a team where where they're not winning. Again, he's not getting younger; he's only getting older. Right? So then, what are you going to do? You're going to trade for a Giannis Antetokounmpo? Okay, then you're really all in. Right? Then you're really all in, and it doesn't make sense to go trade because I've seen people would trade De'Aaron Fox for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right? Well, the problem is that then you could do that. Let's say De'Aaron Fox was willing to go to Milwaukee, right? I mean, they just got Miles Turner, so maybe he'd be open to that. But then it still doesn't make sense to go get Giannis and just wait around with all your young core. At that point, you're even more all in than you were with De'Aaron Fox because Giannis is one of the 2 best players in all of basketball, a guy that has proven that he can go win an NBA championship. And by the way, he's older than De'Aaron Fox. He's 30, right? So it's again, no matter how you shake it, you either got to stay the course, and then in that case, go to De'Aaron Fox, flip him. I'm not saying, again, it doesn't necessarily have to be this year, but you might also want to look to trade him this year so you don't have to be the team that pays him the money, and then, it makes it harder to trade him because teams are do we really want to pay $50 million for De'Aaron Fox? Right? And you don't want to let him walk for nothing. You want to get something for him. But Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.